Today is September 18th, 2024. It is obviously Wizard Wednesday. And it's obviously a good day to join a cult. Channeling in from the Quantum Downs, this is the Black Coat of the Wood, Elf J Trul. And I've got some friends on stage with me.
Hello, it is the Orange Puppet Dotta. Hi, everybody. We've also got a great lineup of speakers today. Who else is up here?
We've got Tad Major. I just thought that my internet was bugging out for 5 minutes and was trying to reconnect.
Yeah, just giving you the silent treatment.
Yeah, but we're here. We're ready. Yeah, excited for some lore today.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lore read today. We actually have a lot of really fun questions from the cult that I can't wait to address. And Nalgene's up here, and Nalgene, Snoop Dogg is asking when is the next comic, and I think you wanted to give some comic news anyway. So Nalge, why don't you go ahead and start?
Oh boy, starting it off hot. Thanks, Elf. I was just chatting with you guys. Really excited to bring the graphic novel to the community. Just finished up editing that, going back and forth with Titan and the wonderful editors over there. So shouts out to that team. We are still looking at a delivery into the new year. I know previously it was looking like for Christmas delivery, but due to some internal editing delays and such, I think we're going to be looking at into the new year for that hardback graphic novel issue of the Forgotten Runes comic. So that is issues 1 through 5 and one hardback bound edition. So
was it because of my editing issues?
No, by no means. It actually had to do more so with Titan's schedule of getting things in order, as opposed to us. We had that art done for many moons, but Tota, is your edit public information, by the way?
No, but we should bring it up.
Oh boy.
Oh, I'm ready to go to war.
Okay,
man.
If you guys love hearing me and Dota argue, wait until you hear this story.
Oh yeah, so issue number 5 comes at my doorstep, and the main character's outfit has an incredible amount of cleavage. It is so inappropriate, and I was furious. And you might say, well, Dota, don't you review the comics before they go to print? And yes, I do. But I'd only reviewed the pencil sketches of issue number 5. And I hadn't actually looked at the version that was colored in. And it was too much for me. So
full color tells a whole new story.
It's a whole new story. And I was like, I'm not going to give this to my kids. Like, my kids saw it, and like, they were like, Dad, this is so inappropriate. Like, I can't believe you did this, And I was like, and I really struggled, right? Because it's this idea that's like, well, I'm explaining to like my daughter, I'm like, well, honey, like most comic books are bought by like 40-year-old men, basically being like, this comic book is not for you, like it's target audience. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to make something where, that I wouldn't give to my own kids. And it's not that like everything that we do has to be kid appropriate, but I already feel like the comic books are already like kid adjacent, right? Like if they were like a lot darker, a lot more like adult oriented from like the first issue, then you just let it go. But like it's such a simple thing. Like I think there's a lot of conservative people that kind of they wouldn't give that to their like young boys when they might have otherwise. And so it just felt like limiting to the marketplace. There's a lot of people that have those kinds of guidelines. So I asked them to change it for the graphic novel.
And what was really funny is when Dota came to me, I basically played the role of him explaining to his daughter that this comic is for 40-year-old horny guys. And I did not want to censor the comic, but Dota won this battle because ultimately, like, it didn't really matter. It didn't really add or detract from the story, like censoring the cleavage. So if you have the original paperback, you have the true, uncensored, sexy version.
Yep.
If you're buying the hardback, then you can give that to your kids.
Yep, you can give the hard. And so now we just, I guess, maybe made the first run edition of issue 5 is the rare uncensored version. So get them while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's finite. The new
50%
print
off.
will have the new artwork, so that the copies in existence are the only boobalicious Forgotten Runes
But that's
comic
not
that
the
will
reason
ever
that
exist.
we're running late, so that's good. I was about to feel bad where I was like, oh no, we're missing Christmas because I didn't want to see the cleavage.
No.
But I want everybody here not to worry because Dota promised me that I could write a kobold sex scene in the TV show. So
It's
there's no
true.
censorship in the show.
Things got too heated in the Discord. I had to give somewhere.
Oh boy.
The Impy Shake will take a whole new style, if you know what I mean.
Gosh.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Anyway, is that it for the comic update now? Is that all you
Yeah.
wanted to say?
That's everything. Thanks, guys. Yeah, really, really excited to get these in hands and to get my paws on one myself. It's been super fun producing the comic and brings me joy to share it with you guys. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nalj. Okay, we have so many cult questions, and so many are great. So I'm going to go to Adam Hollander for the next one. Adam says he got bumped to number 15 on the donut leaderboard, and he wants to know when is a Shadow Hat donut coming?
Well, there's nothing we can do if you get bumped on the leaderboard. Maybe you should just try harder. But for the Shadow Hat donuts, yes, we're gonna do a Shadow Hat donut. I think that maybe some of the earlier messaging that we gave, we said, well, the shadows are getting the same donuts as wizards, warriors, souls, right? We were originally giving kind of those like, I think it's like, man, there's so many donuts. Forgive me if I say wrong, but I think it's chocolate and slime, and then there's another donut for affinity. We're giving shadows basically the same kind of donuts that the ETH collection characters tokens were getting, but everyone kind of like wants their own donut. So I think what we'll probably do is reorganize it into having the shadow nut go to shadows holders instead of chocolate and slime, and then we'll have we're going to need to do a custom shadow hat donut, that's for sure.
Yeah, Adam, you'll get a custom Shadow Hat donut. And also, Adam, I just wanted to let you know that you also have a full 3D Shadow Hat Wizard game rig in
Ooh.
production as well.
Ooh.
That is, it looks so badass. I can't wait for you to see it. But you'll be able to use it in the upcoming Halloween event that we have.
Ooh, fun. Wow, so much alpha in that one sentence.
Yeah, yeah.
Another. So do you also want to talk about another? But so the shadow hats and the shadow nuts, those aren't out yet. The donut we did release today was the Beastmaster donut. I need to post this in the Beastmaster Discord. So we released the Beastmaster special donut. One of the things to know is that the Beastmasters have been getting. Again, the Beastmasters were getting donuts as part of the kind of the core like allocation donuts, right? So this would be I believe the chocolate and the slime, at a pretty large rate. What we did actually is we substituted those donuts for the Beastmaster donuts. So your totals end up looking roughly the same, but it's just a new donut there. So yeah, Beastmasters, there you go.
Hell yeah.
Did the new donuts go out today? Did people get their updates?
I don't know.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I saw some new donuts come into my account today. Looks like they
Okay,
went
very
out
good.
fine.
Okay, very good.
Great. Okay, and then speaking of spooky things, Radagast, I know what you're doing. Radagast keeps trying to get me to spill information about the Darkling souls.
Oh.
He wants to know if that head has a 1-to-1 soul head. And again, Radagast, it's not that I don't want to tell you, it's that I can't tell you. But adjacent to your question, this is something I've been meaning to say for a while. So I'm glad I'm finally remembering to address it. There was some leaked artwork about this regarding the Soul Ultra Rares, probably over a year ago. And I think in the Secret Tower, that piece of leaked artwork resurfaces every once in a while. I just want everybody to know that artwork is now obsolete and has been changed. So it's not accurate to the ultra rare souls that remain, and in fact, there are a lot of ultra rare souls that remain. I'll just say that. So again, the leaked artwork is not accurate. It's been redone. So if you share that artwork, you're spreading misinformation.
Yeah, illegal in the state of California.
Yep. And yeah, there's a lot of ultra rare souls remaining. So I'll just leave it at that.
Fun. I don't have anything to add. You said it perfectly.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Let's see.
Bears at Token 2024. Wait, what's it called? What Singapore, wherever that is.
2049.
Yeah. That seems like a long ways away. Why did they pick that name?
Yeah, I can't believe he's not coming back until 2049.
Yeah, I wouldn't even show up for another 23 years.
They scheduled it way in advance.
Yeah.
Okay. Feckless is okay. This is a fun question for the group. Feckless wants to know if you lived in the Runiverse as you are now, not as your wizard. What would be your go-to method of transportation? I'll go ahead and answer. Mine is, of course, train, railroad. I've said this in past Wizard Wednesdays, but very early on in the game development, I asked Bisonic if we could put like a whole train system in the game. And we can't because it's just like a massive feature. But the TV show does have train scenes, and I just have a personal love for trains. I actually think a lot of the ills that face the United States could be alleviated through just simply a national rail system, similar to what Europe has. But I love trains. They're so romantic.
I
They're
didn't
so
know
calming
that.
and peaceful.
I didn't know that. I love that. There are. Have you seen the guys that like build their own like little mini trains? Do you like little trains too?
It's funny. My dad actually has a little model train system, and I
That's
love it.
amazing. Wait. Okay, so there's like model train, which is like on a table, but
Yep.
then there's like mini trains like at the zoo or something where there's like an engine that you can like,
Oh.
ride like around your yard.
Yeah, I've ridden those in Griffith Park in LA as well. So
Yes.
yeah.
Fun. I would love to build one of those, but like who has time for that? Like,
Dude, you know who made one of those for themselves? You would never guess.
who?
I just blanked on his name. The guy who designed the alien. H.R. Geiger has one of those in his yard.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. But yeah, what would be your personal go-to method of transportation?
Horse. I would ride Josh. Yeah.
Josh the blind pony.
Josh the blind pony. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for the context.
Yeah.
Oh yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, you can't just say I would ride Josh.
I would ride Josh.
Pause.
I mean,
Pause.
I could. It's fine.
But yeah, anyone else have a method of transportation?
I was actually going to say that I would walk because I really enjoy hiking. I'm sure the Runiverse has some amazing sights to see, but after the trains talk, I actually want to build a tiny miniature train and just ride that around. Just like 2-3 feet off the ground. Just like maybe a couple carts behind me for my buddies. But yeah, that sounds actually pretty fun.
Tad, doesn't your kobold ride a broom? I think that's a pretty great method of transport.
He does, but it's a stolen broom. It's not really his. So when I don't have that, I've got to use alternate means.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
I think I've always hated commuting since I was a kid. I've always had long commutes. I grew up in the city, so I always had like 45 minutes, like an hour commute on train, and then I only like expanded as I grew up. So I think like even as a kid, I used to always wish that teleportation was real, and like I used to be like, oh, if Pokemon was real, I'd have a Mew and I would like teleport school every day instead of like taking train. So like
I would love that portal abilities.
Yeah, I would say portals exactly, and portals to get from one place to another. That's where I would be going.
Yeah. I feel like the portal 2 is safer than like apparition in Harry Potter, right? Because sometimes like when they apparate, like their like liver gets left on the other side. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah, splinching.
Like, I need to. Yeah, splinching. I need to take my stuff with me too, right? So I can like.
Yeah. Yeah, just make sure that that you don't have your 1 foot in and then the portal closes, then you'll lose it. But
Yeah, exactly.
Crucifor just shared a fantastic illustration of his wizard riding a pony. So good in the Secret Tower.
The goblins that run the kitchen in the Great Library that feeds all of the industry in the Blue Wizard Bastion, they have a train network that delivers the catering to all the office towers and scholarly centers in the Blue Wizard Bastion. I don't know if you knew that.
I love that, Meeple. Is it like a little like Mr. Rogers mini train that goes around from kitchen to kitchen?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
There's some artwork of it that genned up in the Great Library Wikipedia page if you want to go check out a bunch of goblins in the kitchen riding the train.
Fantastic. That's so good, man. Okay, I'm going to go to the next question, and this is actually my favorite question of the day from Pedro M. Cunha. Okay, so Pedro, I'm not going to read the whole question, but Pedro is basically asking if the Runiverse has like a primary villain, like Sauron in Lord of the Rings. And he makes a bunch of comparisons to Lord of the Rings, and he's talking about how every villain has henchmen and how they have how they're not always just pure evil. They have like layers of moral complexity. And he just wants to know if there's such a being in the Runiverse. And I love this question for so many reasons. First, let me start with just the comparison of the Runiverse to the Lord of the Rings. And I personally, I actually don't think that's the best comparison. I think that Forgotten Runes is much more like Dungeons and Dragons than Lord of the Rings, because because Forgotten Runes is, what is it? It's this perpetual sort of online game of role playing, like Dungeons and Dragons. So many of you right now are literally role playing your wizard online. Your PFP is your wizard. And you role play your wizard in the Secret Tower, and in the game. And so I just think it's much more closer. It's much more, yeah, it's closer to Dungeons and Dragons as a franchise.
Yeah.
And like, so we don't necessarily do D&D style campaigns, but we do create for our wizards, for our wizard characters in a really comprehensive way as a Dungeons and Dragons player does. And so Dungeons and Dragons, the Wizards of the Coast, they supply their players with all these components they need to make a campaign. There's a monster manual and a rule book and a game board and a dice, etc. And Forgotten Runes does this too. We have a ton of character collections for you to choose from. We have a bunch of items from the Athenaeum. We actually have an MMORPG. And we have several mini games throughout the year for people to play as or role play as their wizard. And as far as like quote unquote campaigns go, these are really just the stories that are kept in the book of lore. Even the spinning icosahedron in the Secret Tower is a reference to the D20 dice in Dungeons and Dragons. But look, all of that said, Dungeons and Dragons actually does have like a few like big villains. I wouldn't say they're like primary like Sauron, but Dungeons and Dragons has like Tiamat and the Beholder and a bunch of others in the Monster Manual. So do we have those? Yes, we do. We have the Lich Emperor Supreme. We have the Zombie King. We have all the Shadow Hats. We have the beasts from the Gate of the Seventh Realm, and a bunch more. And as for your question about like layers of moral complexity, or are they pure evil? Let me hit these one by one. So the Lich Emperor Supreme is probably the closest thing to like one-dimensional evil. Yet it's definitely worth noting that he was transmuted from the sacred flame. He is bound to it, and as all souls are, and that really means something for his sort of moral driver. He of course leads legions of liches and wraiths and presides over the Nightmare Dominion. The Zombie King. There's a lot of really great lore about him in the Book of Lore. He leads the zombie hordes, and he's probably an eternal rival of the Lich Emperor. The Shadow Hats, they are the only wizards in the Runiverse who have totally mastered black magic. I would hesitate to use the word evil to describe them. They're just masters of black magic. And if you want to know more about that, you should really read the Wikipedia entry on black magic. There are a few edge cases like Malevolence Wizard, Aldous of the Morning Star, who's a black magic wizard. There's a few more, but the Shadow Hats really just truly embody what black magic is. And then finally, the Beasts. They're not evil either per se, though they certainly cause an immeasurable amount of strife and conflict. I like to think of them like kaiju, like King Kong or Godzilla. Like Godzilla is not evil, but he certainly causes an extreme amount of destruction just based on his being, the nature of his being. So, if you're looking for like primary villains or big bads to write about, those are some good characters to start with. You can also make your wizard like an evil character if you want, and have other people in the community like fight against them if you want. There's also like a sort of an internal conflict between wizards and warriors. One is might, one is magic. So yeah, I mean, this is just sort of the nature of the project, though. I don't want to define one like Sauron-like villain, because then that would almost suggest that everyone has to write about their battle with that one primary villain, and that's not the nature of a decentralized world build. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. But
Yeah.
that's a fun question to answer and talk about.
That's great. I think that we would want to see is, like, as much as we have like the beasts, for example, as these kind of epic characters, I think we'd also want to see the community create the villains, right? I think that, like, I'll tell you one thing, for example, is I feel like most of the lore for most of the wizards ends up having them be like roughly the same like physical size. And that's one of the things with the beasts that make them so like dominating, is that they're like physically bigger. But I don't know, I feel like there's probably wizards who either like are physically bigger or appear bigger, and some of them are kind and some of them are evil or neutral. And so I think that, like, I'd love to see more lore that plays with wizard size.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about a conversation I had with Riley a while back, and he was asking me, like we always show him the pixel art of the characters he's drawing, and clearly they're all the same size. But he was asking me, can I draw them different body shapes and heights and all that? And I said yes, and so he does. I mean, you can see it in the comic. But yeah, I mean, it's like we always say, like the pixel art is it's a creative primitive. You can depart from that in infinite amounts of ways. But
I was looking at the lore rankings this morning. So people have been ranking up lore, and David's lore is actually the second highest scored lore.
Wait, who's the second highest scored lore? Can anybody hear him? I can't hear him.
I think
You're turning all robot on us, Dotta.
yeah, losing signal there, but I can fill in because I also got access to that same list of stuff today. So the
Nice.
second most popular one is some lore from Illusionist David of the Veil, which is Crucifor's character.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, Dota's gone. Yeah, I just want to give a huge shout out to Crucifor. I've been reading Crucifor's lore lately. It is so professionally done. Like, just the story structure, the character development, the art that he puts with it. It's genuinely funny. It's like a professional writer is writing Crucifor's lore, but I'm pretty sure it's him.
Aha!
Yeah, exactly. It even has a catchphrase.
Yeah. Christopher's all-time hilarious and commissioner of art, writer of lore, just absolutely aces.
Big time.
Big fan.
Yeah. Entropy, is Dota trying to come back up, or?
Looks like he might be in listener mode. This might be that that chunk of time that he mentioned was a little tricky for service.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All good. No big deal. Okay. Another lore question. Sporkly is asking, do we have a backstory on the enemies in the Gold Canyon? So Sporkly, the Gold Canyon and all those enemies are actually a totally original Bisonic creation. And I'm glad you asked this because this is actually something I've been working on lately myself. So in the game, a lot of the lore and the enemies and the characters you're going to see are total creations from the game studio Bisonic. And that's great. Lately, what I have been doing is looking through all of their documents, and I have been trying to align it much more with the lore within the NFT collections, within the book of lore, within the Wikipedia. So there's, yeah, I mean, I'm like trying to align it like, almost 100%. But basically the first versions of the game that everybody has experienced has been with lore that was just very much the creation of Bisonic. And so to answer your story about the Gold Canyon, I personally don't know. You could maybe like ask the Runiverse Twitter account for that question, or I honestly don't even know who to point you to, but yeah, I personally don't know too much about the lore of the Gold Canyon. But that cannon boss is a pretty badass boss, I will say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, what I'm hearing is we ask and then we make more lore. This
Yes.
is good.
Yeah.
I'd say that's good. There was during the open beta, there was actually artwork made for the Abomination boss, along with some lore that was made for the Abomination boss, and it was really good. We actually like talked about it within Bisonic too. So I think a lot of stuff here, because like it is very like early in like the game. It is very much like almost I don't want to say placeholder pieces, but they're definitely like pieces that are there for like for the sake of like fleshing out the beginning of the game, and then like we'll start adding the plan is to start adding more lore and stuff as the game is actually like up and running, and we start adding like the story campaigns and such. So like a lot of stuff is very much like a canvas for people to kind of like, if you want to play around with some of the ideas and like some lore ideas and like submit them, there's probably room for those to be incorporated if you have like really good ideas with those. So like if you are like looking at the Gold Canyon, enemies and like, oh, they're all humans. Like, why are they all humans? And like the cannon boss, like, why is that there, right? I don't think there's any like huge backstory that's really baked in. And if there is, it's definitely flexible to be adjusted if anybody has like cool ideas for them. So yeah, I would say that it's early enough that the set pieces are there without like so much backing. So, and then like, of course, later on, more backing can be applied to them. So like, if you have ideas for them, throw them our way. We would be pretty cool for implementing them.
Hell yeah. Matto, now that we got you up here, what's going on with the game lately? Any news or developments to share?
Ooh, okay. So obviously everybody's been asking like, when's the next time you're coming up? When's it coming up? I think my answer to that is like, we definitely want the game up. Like, we're excited for everybody to be playing too. I want to play more as well. I miss logging in every day and playing as well. But the dev team definitely needed some R&R. They've been working nonstop throughout the open beta, especially with an unexpected extension. So it ended up running for more days than we thought. But I think right now, in terms of where we are for like, we're looking at the information that with feedback that was collected during open beta, right? Looking at the data that was collected. Today we put out announcement of like some milestones and numbers and metrics that we reached. And that's part of it, like collecting that kind of data so that way we can package it up and, interpret it in a way that, how is it helpful for us and what is it nice for like other people to see, right? And then obviously like, going through categories of like, the bugs and kind of like, prioritizing which ones are obviously the top priority to like try tackle for next build and such. And as Elf said as well, like working on like lore. I think in this next build, we do actually plan on having level cap increase and also specializations added with that. And, you know, alongside with that, that means that there's going to be new spells. There's going to be kind of like thematics behind like the roles that you're specializing in. And so like Elf is working on that on the lore side for that. So that way it's more aligned with Forgotten Runes. That way it feels more familiar when you're like picking those specializations and like kind of like role playing in those roles that you want to be in. So I would say like at the point that we are right now, we're pretty much at the point where like we are wrapping up like analysis on like what we need for the next build, and putting together like, you know, the pieces in place for like what we should start for rolling out for this upcoming build. So I would say, you know, they had time to rest over the weekend. Monday was kind of like, you know, a soft catch up day, like, you know, getting back in office. And now we're kind of like, you know, getting the wheels rolling again. So there's not gonna be any huge news probably like this week, right? I think like this week is still very much a week of slight rest with also, you know, like, you know, getting the pieces in place that we need. And then probably start running, you know, I would say like early next week. And then we'll probably have some more news, you know, in the upcoming weeks on maybe not on the set date, but, you know, like on what more to expect for the next build. And then like as we get closer, we'll be able to put a set date. We're still aiming for having another build before the end of the year. That's not out of the plan so far. I think we're pretty good on that, but you know, we'll have more concrete information on when that happens and how that's going to look like, you know, after we've you know, collected a bit more and build a bit more on our end. So excited to get back in. Me too. But just give us a little bit of time. We want to make sure that the next time we launch something, it's a meaningful update to what we've already been playing.
Thanks, Matto. Let's see. I guess Dota's not coming back up today.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the questions. It feels like we had something else to talk about, but now I'm blanking on it.
Yeah, there was one thing we don't have a ton of details around yet, and I'm not sure if Jitsy's available to share, but we have a new collab that started up. A little bit of a little hint towards it earlier this week. We are doing something with 10KTF, and they have a fun racing game that we're going to be involved in. And I don't know anything other than that, except that I made some stickers for a car, and Jitsy's a team captain. So that's what I got for you.
Jitsi, come up here and tell us about it. He probably can't even hear me. Okay, all good. And Meeple, I think Meeple wanted to maybe read some lore today. Did he already leave Inchby? Do you know?
Sorry, did who leave?
Meeple.
Oh, yes. Meeple unfortunately had to jet off to something else. He'll join us next week, he says.
Okay,
share.
sorry, Meeple. The schedule got thrown off. Okay.
He said he didn't want to interrupt your very good lore rant, which I agree with.
Okay.
People like to hear the lore straight from the mouth of the goat.
All right. Let's actually talk about those game metrics that we shared today, because they were pretty impressive. Although I personally don't know too much about them. Matto, can you just talk about those a little bit specifically?
Specific game metrics. Yeah, sure. I can go over the game metrics, but I don't think I have any super specific like drill down other than like what was like posted publicly. Like I know there were some questions specifically like, you know, about like how some of the numbers were like put together. I think I have like I have an idea, but like I don't have I would have want to like run through like, you know, confirmation before I actually say, yeah, this is definitely how the numbers put together, right? But just give me one moment to like the numbers up, and I'll get over it. One moment. Sorry.
Okay, I'm looking at them right now. I'm
seeing go.
That we were ranked the #1 web RPG by DAP Radar. #1. Yeah. Does it get better than that?
This is the point where
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we would have wow, but I know Entropy's having some technical difficulties today, so I'll do it for him.
Yeah. And then ranked #4 overall web app by DAP Radar. #4 overall. That's insane.
Yeah, I want to say I think that we actually bumped up to like #3 while that was actually being written, but I'll have to like double check that. But like, I mean, that's public, so like anybody can go look. I think that actually one thing that we pointed out was like, wow, we actually wrote, but we already wrote it out. So
very cool. And then nearly 1 million unique active wallets. Um, almost 1.5 million hours played cumulatively, and 35 million bosses defeated across all players. That's freaking nuts, man. Like I can't even wrap my head around that.
Yeah, everybody really wanted to kill those bosses. They were farming hard. Poor bear. That's why we put dire bear in.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 30 million of that is just the dire bear.
Yeah. I mean, like, I mean, it was mentioned before. I think Jello mentioned it last week, but like, that's kind of like an emergent player behavior, right? Because like we weren't expecting the bear to be like the boss that everybody would be like tackling down, right? Like, the dungeon bosses were kind of like made to be like that goal, and like rather than just being like, oh man, like we're just like, all right, cool, that's a cool emergent player behavior, so let's just encourage it, and that's why the dire bear came out. So like,
I love that, though. I still wish we would have called it bear spam. I never even got to battle the dire bear. I mean, it sounds like fun. Do you know if anyone was able to solo the dire bear?
Oh no, heavens no! No one was able to solo it. I think actually we initially when we released it, because it was kind of made on the fly, right? Like it wasn't an enemy that was pre-prepared, so it was kind of like a modification of the bear. And so like it had very little testing, and I think when we first released it, actually we were like, "Ow, is it too hard?" Like, right? Like we're like looking, it's like I think we made it too hard, but it's out in the wild now, so it is what it is. People will find a way to figure it, but yeah, I don't think it was soloable at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's good. I actually really enjoy when bosses seem impossibly hard, because there's always the player out there who's just gonna get so pro that they can do it. Do you know that phrase NES hard? Do you know that phrase?
Yeah. I've played many Ninja Gaiden and
Yeah.
understand completely. And Battletoads, I hated Battletoads as a kid.
Yes. Yeah, games these days are way too easy. It's annoying. It's
Yeah, they're not made to take your quarters anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and like not only that, but like there's like like a lot of Nintendo games I've noticed, like if you get to a really hard part, they straight up have like a tutorial like just pop up in the middle of the game telling you how to like beat a certain area. It's so annoying. Like they never would have done that back in the NES era. Um, but let's see. Okay, Give a Hoot is asking where the name Elf J Trul came from. Yeah, Give a Hoot. It's an anagram of my real name. The elf and the troll represent a Gnostic dualism, and the J is the cosmic jelly that binds them together.
Dang. That's how you come up with a name, not just like look at your water bottle on your desk or something.
Yeah, yeah. Nalgene, where'd your name come from?
Oh man, I don't know, but some of y'all need to get outside if you don't get it. That's what I'll say.
No, your name origin is probably the best lore of anyone on Magic Machine.
You flatter me, Elf.
That's good. That's good. Man, I'm running out of stuff to talk about. What do you guys got? Someone come up here and ask a question.
We've got somebody that wants to read some lore. If you want to transition to that,
Oh yeah,
Nico.
okay.
Nico came up, wanted to do a story. Nico, can you talk?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. First time. So what's up, team? I know. Thank you. I know Entropy was a lore read today, so I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, thanks for hopping up to participate. Appreciate that. Yeah, feel free to give us a little like intro to like maybe what your character is, and then hop into the lore. And if you would like, I've got some ambient noise that I might be able to play in the background if my system doesn't hate me today. So you have a choice between a little bit of fireside noise, maybe a little bit of rain pattering, and maybe even some very subtle conversation happening in a far off room.
We love a nice campfire over here, so I'll take that one.
I'll give it a try, and if it's not working, I'll just turn it off, and we'll try this.
That's fine. I'll try to keep it down to 5 minutes, so if I have to like stop in between, that's totally fine too. But my warrior is Kiyoshi, Vanquisher of Shadows, which I'm sure many of you have probably seen in the sales chat. The story is kind of the origin of Ronin Village. warriors, Watcher's Ring. It entails Athenaeum items and the Sacred Flame. So Volume 1 is the Kyoshi Chronicles is just his origin story, and it starts in the Bamboo Forest, a place shrouded in mystery with ever-changing topography, with some saying it has never been successfully explored. However, known only to a few living wizards, a small expedition of green hat wizards, attuned to the elements and nature, set out to explore the depths of the forest and the secrets held within many years ago. Accompanying these wizards were a band of warriors hired for additional protection throughout their expedition, a wild bunch. The group couldn't fathom the trials they would encounter ahead, and a close relationship began to develop between these warriors and nature-attuned wizards. As the expedition came to an end, this group of warriors denied payment from the ever-curious wizards. Instead, they requested they help establish a settlement deep into the center of the forest. They desired a tranquil location to establish a home far from the reaches of society where they can live in peace. This settlement became the birthplace of what is known today as Ronin Village, home to a culture deeply enriched in tradition, focus, discipline, perfection in all they do, honor, and honing their martial art. It is here where our protagonist's story begins. As sunlight trickles through the dense foliage of the bamboo forest, a dull, repetitive clank can be heard as Kiyoshi, a young samurai Ronin in training, practices his swordsmanship with wooden swords against his father. For years, Kiyoshi's life consisted of days full of training with swords, archery, blacksmithing, hunting, forging, and meditation, honing each craft to a level of perceived perfection. There was never any variation in his daily schedule, and more importantly, he nor anyone else were allowed to leave the sanctuary of their settlement due to risk of exposing their tranquil home. In an attempt to protect Kiyoshi from the corruption and vile of the outside world by strictly forcing the long passed down traditions of their society, his family forged a curious, wandering, and rebellious spirit. Kiyoshi would often sneak out exploring the unknown place he called home. Every day he would push out further and further and ventured out more and more. One day, as if guided by a changing forest itself, Kiyoshi ventured all the way to the northwest end of the forest. As he peered through the last few stalks of tall bamboo, the thick fog cleared up and revealed a calm lake covered in paper lanterns. A few hundred feet further, along the shoreline, sat an old man. Kiyoshi, wide eyes, sprinted towards the man at a full sprint. Rightfully so, the wizard was startled and taken aback as this young teenager was sprinting full speed, nonstop towards him. Once they were within arm's reach of each other, they both stood frozen, staring at each other and giving each other awkward looks. Observing each other intently and looking over every single detail, Kiyoshi was full of questions about this man and was poking him in his strange clothes. Everything about this man was new to him. He had a long white beard, purple robes, a pointy purple hat, and a purple ring that sparkled like the stars in the sky. As for the old man, he was confused by the curiosity and awe of this young man. He was shocked by his tightly tucked in kimono, a sword sheathed in his waist. This man hasn't seen anyone look or dress like this before in all of his travels of the Runiverse. He couldn't help but feel similarly to some of the old stories he read about advanced civilizations stumbling amongst tribes untouched by society. This old man looked up to the sky and started to chuckle, realizing just how little is still known about the known world. The old man could immediately discern that Kiyoshi was a thinker, a man with a passion for discovery, a man with an unquenching curiosity for the unknown. Even though they are from worlds apart, the man saw a little of himself in Kiyoshi. So much so, the two agreed to meet every day at Lantern Lake at the same time. Also, let me know if I'm running out of time.
Take all the time you need.
Through the years, Kiyoshi learned the old man was actually a Purple Order wizard who was wise beyond his years and possessed deep knowledge and understanding of the world. Together, the two shared stories, wisdom, and trained together in the respective arts of the Ronin warrior and arcane magic. This now leads us to present day. Kiyoshi met his old friend by the lake as was customary. However, his old friend was deep in thought on arrival. The purple wizard twirled his purple mystical ring around his finger. The old man to begin to disclose a revelation that has consumed his thought for many weeks now. He began to say he has heard whispers being told all across the Runiverse of other wizards experiencing a phenomenon of unprecedented significance where 1,100 mystical and magical flames spontaneously combusted all across the verse. He then points to the middle of the lake at one of the lanterns. He says that one spawned right in the center of the lake. It was immovable and gave off very powerful magical energy. Out of fear of the unknown, the wizard concealed it in a paper lantern to make it hide in plain sight. He proceeded to say that there have been many stories about wizards trying to study this flame. However, some ventured too closely and passed through the flame. Some were changed to ash, and others into dark, demonic, ghastly, ethereal souls. Strangely enough, some were also turned into jelly donuts. The wizard began to share his fear of dark forces and magic being at play. The wizard told an analogy of fire in order to explain his thoughts to Kiyoshi, in an attempt to better put his feelings into words. Fire with a malicious intent in the hands of a selfish mind, in the hands of a careless mind, will bring upon weaponized death and destruction. However, in the hands of a pure mind, a thoughtful, selfless mind, a careful mind, that fire can be tamed as a tool to provide warmth and food for a community, to sustain life, and propel the future. If the whispers were true, then dark forces were at play and using the flame. How else would such demonic creatures be the result? It was the wizard's theory that the good might be lagging behind, but that if the best minds of the Runiverse could tame and study the sacred flame, then maybe this powerful magical entity may bring about some good to the verse. This purple hat wizard who values the potential in Kiyoshi and has watched him master the blade, its dance with energies of the universe, and seemingly blend swordship with the arcane knowledge passed down to him, invited Kiyoshi on his quest to understanding this phenomena. Kiyoshi and the wizard studied the flame continually, observing its properties. As each day passed, more whispers of these demonic transmutations occurred, and news began to suggest that they were organizing and amassing. A flame, a source of light, incidentally strengthened the shadows and darkness of the verse. Months have passed, and much has been studied of the flame that combusted in the middle of Lantern Lake. Kiyoshi is now a young man. The wizard, a friend, a father figure to Kiyoshi, has aged considerably. He was dying, and they both knew it. Kiyoshi felt anger and sadness among a host of other emotions. The two sat there on a few boulders by the lake of lanterns staring at the flame. The wizard twirled his ring around his finger yet again. The purple wizard slowly faded to gray, and he told Kiyoshi to not be sad, for he cherished the many years and for being the son he never had. He said he will miss him and to never give up on the quest for understanding the flame. Like a moth drawn to a flame, the wizard shuffled to the sacred flame and passed through it. He vanished, and all that remained was a pile of ashes. Kiyoshi was frozen and in shock. Tears ran down his cheeks as his face was cemented with confusion. He sat for hours, not moving, shedding tears with his head down. A gust of wind wiped the last tears off his face, but also dispersed his old friend's ashes. A faint light sparkled underneath the remaining ashes, which grabbed Kiyoshi's attention. He stood over and stared blankly at his friend's remains, frozen in indecisiveness. As if at war with his own curiosity, he debated digging through what remained of his beloved friend, but couldn't. As if fate itself made the decision for him, another gust of wind came and fully uncovered the item. It was his friend's purple ring, but it was different this time, as if the flame imbued itself in the ring, becoming a very powerful magical artifact. Kiyoshi put on the ring in honor of his late friend, and as if a thought was carefully placed into his brain, inception, not of his own origin, he grabbed a jar and approached the flame, as if the flame itself was calling Kiyoshi. Something that wasn't possible before today occurred. Kiyoshi put a piece of that circling inferno inside this glass bottle, as if the sacred flame or the ring allowed him to tame a small piece of its magical power. Kiyoshi placed this bottled inferno inside his kimono. Kiyoshi didn't know what had happened exactly or what it all meant. One thing was for certain: this warrior now felt that with these new magical items, his knowledge passed down from his family, his wizard mentor, and from the time studying the sacred flame, he felt as if he could help shine a light on this corrupted dark world. As a result, Kiyoshi, Vanquisher of Shadows, was born. A scion of the sacred flame has risen, and this is his story. Sorry if that took way longer. Sorry.
No, that was great, man. That was his whole life story. I love the way you connected so many different NFTs into that story. You got the ring. You got a region from the map. You got, of course, your warrior. My question is, who was that purple wizard?
So I wish I had a purple hat wizard, as I'm sure you guys all know they're kind of hard to come by.
Yeah.
So he's just unnamed for right now.
Okay. Okay.
Somebody has a purple hat wizard that loves that lore and wants to partake. I'm absolutely open to editing and revising.
That's great, man. That's so good. Yeah, I remember you shared some of that lore with me a month ago or so, but I think you've developed it more since you last
Can we
showed it to
find
me.
that? Can we find that in the Book of Lore? What warrior number is that under?
Yeah, so there's also another entry that's dealing with Feckless and the Black Sands, but I'm trying to see. I just kind of searched Kyoshi and it pops up, but let me find the number.
His ID number is 10715.
Yes, sorry, thank you.
All good. Well, Nico, thank you so much, man. I know you put a lot of work into that, and I know you've got even more stories written beyond that. So
Thanks
Yeah,
for the
Nico, that was
release. I
great.
appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing. That was super.
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, well, we only have like 8 minutes left. And I know Sporkly, I see you were in the Secret Tower, wanted to read someone's lore, but let's maybe push to next week. And like honestly, guys, we used to do lore readings literally every week, and somehow we got away from that. So I just want to renew the call. Like anyone who wants to read lore, there's always a spot on Wizard Wednesday. We can do at least one a week, and if we schedule it better, we can do more. But yeah, I mean, lore. The mic is always open for lore readings.
I'm also offering my voice to anybody who wants their lore read. I will try to do it the most justice. I've just worked with Motto. I think she's happy with her result. So that's a vote of confidence, I guess. Send me a message, guys.
Yeah, we've had people
Amazing.
do that a lot as well. Like other people have read other people's lore. So if you're too shy to read your own, Sporkly has volunteered.
Absolutely.
Okay, Wild Mage. Before I go on the Chronicle, did you have any announcements or anything?
Oh, so did you happen to see NFT Sasha and Ozma Bro dropped the I guess that teaser video as well as some screenshots for that Unchained game?
Wild Mage,
looks
that is
fun.
number one in the Cult Content Chronicle, and so yes, I was definitely going to mention that. But if you have anything you want to add to that, please.
Yeah, I'd
Oh,
love
well,
to hear more.
I just wanted to say that NFT Sasha is going to be our guest this coming Monday Magic News.
That's going to be a good one.
So we're going to get into it.
All right, excellent. Okay, and then our friend at Revolution or Revolut was up here a minute ago, and I wanted to give them a chance, but I think they just left. That's okay. Okay, well, in that case, with 5 minutes left, it is time for the Cult Content Chronicle compiled by
The illustrious
Tanya Del Rio.
Every
Every
Day
damn week.
Where's the sound effect?
I don't know. The damn podcaster is so broken today. Oh man, I found such good forest ambient sounds for you guys. We'll fix it up for next week.
Okay,
Let's get
all
into the
good.
Content Chronicle.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. So number one, as Wild Mage mentioned, there is a new blockchain game called Unchained Game, and it is by Sasha and Ozma Bros doing the art, and it looks like Carlos DLF Music is doing the music. And I mean, I don't think we know too much about it yet, but all you got to do is look at this teaser video, and I think you're going to be excited. I mean, it just looks incredible. What I love about it is Ozma Bro is just doing like straight up black and white illustrations in pixels, and it's just I've never seen him do this style in pixel art. And Oz, I mean, I think it's like this is your calling, man. You're so good at it. So yeah.
It's really good. It's so well done. Yeah, I also really appreciate the black and white. And then I thought it was really interesting, like right at the end of this trailer, you get that one full color shot with the dragon and this kind of like final emotional like rise. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But super cool. I had a chance to play in a very early demo of Unchained that Sasha shared with me, and I really enjoyed it, even in its very early stages. So I'm super excited to see where they go from this, and even cooler that Oz is involved and it's running through our DAO.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Sasha's going to be interviewed on Magic Monday News. and you'll probably hear more details, but I just want to share one piece. I think this game started out as just like purely text based, which is very cool. But now it's got Ozma Bros art in it, which I think is still going to be fun in that minimalistic way, because again, it's just black and white, very simple pixel art. So I think that's definitely going to add to it, and still not take away the sort of magic of a just purely text based RPG. So yeah, very cool. Okay, Mori shared a really nice commission from Mr. Edgy of his 3 wizards. Just one of the most beautiful pieces of the week for sure. And then Burnt Coffee, definitely a cult favorite artist, shared a really adorable piece of their wizard, sort of longingly waiting for the Runiverse game to come back. That's the way I'm interpreting this. Very cute. And then Matto got a new commission by K256. David Azul, another really awesome Ronin artist, has just really been making a lot of great artwork based on the game. And so they shared 4 pieces in this particular post. And then David Azul shared a work in progress video. Waz Magus Wazir, the one who rings, the one who bing bongs, shared some AI lore. I don't know how to describe this. He basically generated, I think it's like a podcast style conversation about his wizard. It's actually a really cool experiment. You should have a look at it. Waz is basically our AI wizard on staff, and he's always at the frontier of all these AI tools. And then speaking of Waz, man, the Peach Resprite redraw meme has been amazing. And so Waz shared some by Artist Rock. Man, I've just been loving all the Peach redraws. Have you guys been loving it as much as I have?
It's been super cool to see. I really like when the internet sort of can like arrive on a trend. It's kind of neat and really like is a good through line between different people and their takes and their own artistic styles. I love to see stuff like this crop up.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. Okay, Wizard Small made a unique character in the Forgotten Rune style named Wizard Aaron of the Small Realm. You know, I love when people like make whole new characters in the Forgotten Rune style. It's it's a simple style, but there's infinite ways to design characters with it. So yeah, this is super cool. Danielle Illustra, who has a piece in every single Cult Chronicle ever, shared a photo of all the panels that she's been working on. Clooney the Rat continues building in the Nifty Island. This particular piece is just his wizard like swimming in this like pool that's he's added to this castle. Super cool. And then Clooney the Rat also did a variation on the little the character in Nifty Island that follows you around. I forgot what he's called, but basically Clooney the Rat reskinned him with the icosahedron. Jason DeSante continues with Dancing Wizzy Viddies. This is number 69. And I think Jason DeSante is going to come on Wizard Wednesday next week, maybe, to talk about a project that he's been sharing with me and working on. That's it's very cool. Okay, the dude abides. We finally have the dude in the cult, and he has made a really awesome piece of music, a song inspired by the Runiverse game. Feckless continues with Bread Friend art. A very adorable drawing of somebody walking Bread Friend like a dog. and then also Feckless has indulged in Rule 34 of Bread Friend. Bread Friend's butt. That's all I'm going to say. Bread Friend buns. There's actually a bunch of Bread Friend buns. Castamere, Feckless, and Delta Mouse have all shared Bread Friend buns. Um, and then, of course, Magus Wazir did a sort of what's that show? Family Guy, a Family Guy style bread friend. Feckless shared some bread friend memes. Tanya Del Rio did an adorable bread friend waifu, I guess you would call it. It's really freaking cute. And then Two Crows shared. Man, what is this that Two Crows is sharing? Intree, do you know what this is?
So I think that this is the Red Wizard capital in the Runiverse, and it looks like Two Crows got a plot there. But I will admit I was trying to figure out what the underlying story is here, because there's something that they're doing that is definitely not live in the game.
Okay, dude, it's so funny. Yeah, it's the Runiverse game, and I didn't even know because I have not seen this region.
Yeah, so actually this is like probably maybe the first machinima that's been made from the Runiverse, I would want to say, right? So it's like they actually went in game, took footage of them on their plot, and they're like, I guess integrating it into their lore, or like using it as like a build up. Right. So it's like they're using the in-game recording as like pretty much like a video for like for showcasing their lore. So it's really cool. I expect to see more people doing this too, by the way, as like as
Yeah.
the game progresses. So
Matto, I love what you just said. You used the term machinima, and I haven't seen that in such a long time. Do you want to describe what that is?
Yeah, so machinima, I want to say it came from originally like from like Halo. There was like machinima, that term was coined by like creators that did like Red versus Blue in Halo games. So like they would just like record themselves using like in game, like the game would be the canvas essentially for their story. So they were like load up as their game characters, and then they would do voiceovers with their game characters and do all the acting and stuff in the game, right? So it's like they're using the game's animations and the game's assets to make their own story that obviously the creators had nothing to do with that, right? That's just like their own creation, but it evolved into its own thing where it's like the game itself can be used as a base for storytelling in ways that the developers didn't even think of. And so, like, I can definitely see more people doing that in the Runiverse game as it expands more, as there's more areas, as there's more socialization, right? So, like, this is probably the first instance that we've seen, and hopefully, I'm hoping that we see more of it as the game comes out, because like it's really cool, the idea of like being able to just like hop in game and use it as a storytelling device that it wasn't really designed explicitly for, but it's just an after effect of like the game having like a nice visuals and animations and being able to play as characters. So
I love it. Yeah, it's machinima is a portmanteau of machine and cinema, and it's just using game footage as a filmmaking technique. I love it. Yeah, I would love to see more of that. Awesome job, Two Crows. Okay, and then Two Crows shared an image of I guess Meeple Dad sent him a package. I hope this isn't Treasure Trove 2 because I haven't received mine yet. It's the original Treasure Trove. Okay, yeah. So yeah. It's an image of the original Treasure Trove 2.0, still on the way. V Mark made a fun meme with me and Dotta and I think it's Waz in it, just about donuts and choosing your cult wisely. Hail.Ron, another great Ronin artist, shared just a beautiful image of a purple hat wizard. This is such a cool image. I think it's AI, but the I'm not sure what the tool is, but it's a really nice gen. And then Meeple Dad has actually been sharing a lot of really great pieces of art along with Athenaeum items. I'm not sure who's doing this art. Do you guys know? Nobody knows. Okay. And then, of course, Meeple Dad continues with Riddles of the Dark. Day 261. Igdual has continued sharing daily gins of the most dapper whiz in the Runiverse. Magic Monday News featured Bruce Moku. And then, of course, next week is NFT Sasha. And then Hail.Ron shared an unboxing of the Treasure Trove box, and I think that's it. Anything else, guys?
No, I think that covers it.
All right.
We finished the Runiverse build, published some numbers. You can take a look at those.
Yeah, Dotta, we
Platform
talked about
City, I
those
think.
when you were away. Did you want to say anything more on that?
Number good.
Number good.
Number
Yeah.
good.
Dota got
Hell
banished
yeah.
because he was censoring the cleavage, and so the Quantum Ouroboros Society
Yeah,
banished
exactly.
him. If you banish the cleavage, you shall be banished.
Blanco would have hated that.
Exactly.
Blanco is not going to be happy when he hears what happened.
Okay, Inchby, are you able to DJ yet?
You
Is
know,
it?
I flipped some levers and switches on the back end. We're gonna try, but no promises. And if it doesn't
Okay.
work, I might just like sing it a little acapella in the background.
That'd be great.
Surely I can find
Wednesday.
it. There it is.
Hey.
You got it. Okay, good show, guys. Really fun cult questions. Again, if you want to read lore next week, just let us know in advance, DM Inchp or me or just anyone. But yeah, this has been Elf, Dotta. Bear is in Singapore. He'll be back maybe next week. Maddo, Tad, Inchp, Nalgene the Wizard Bottle, Sporkly, Wild Mage, Nicholas,
And a bunch of technical issues.
and a bunch of glitches from the Quantum Shadow, channeling out from the Quantum Downs. Gian and everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah.
Wizards of Wednesday, lore at the core. We are a cult with a world of our own, never forgotten or magic is known. It's Wizard Wednesday. Let's read from the book of lore. Legendary wizards at the core. Don't get lost in the quantum shadow. Abracadabra is our magical manifesto. It's Wizard Wednesday. Eat a donut, set your soul on fire. The sacred flame on a funeral